Guys, I'm not here today. I'm at an AP conference so that I can hopefully become a better teacher for you guys in the future. So today I'm going to do a quick little lecture on here. I hope you don't find me too boring. Today is more of the intro day from consciousness. We just finished up development. Your tests are graded and they are in the box so you can pick them up and you can start your corrections. Corrections will be due, let's say, 1 week from today. So next Thursday, I know today's Friday, we're not here next Friday, right? So next Thursday, your things are due. So let's get into our new unit of consciousness. So in this unit, we will look at a lot of fun stuff. Today, we're just kind of defining what consciousness is. And then once we kind of have that basis, we'll start looking at sleep. Sleep patterns and sleep disorders. Then we will do a day of hypnosis. And actually, Mrs. Brett, Paul's mom, will come in and hopefully give us a first-hand example of hypnosis. I gotta find some students who are willing to be hypnotized. And then the rest of the week, we will be looking at drugs. Consciousness has a lot to do with drug interactions on the body. So we'll look at the 4 major types of drugs and how these drugs affect us, okay, and what they really do. So let's get started. Hopefully this won't go too long. I know you don't want to listen to me for too long today. So, as I already said, this is what we'll look at today. So this is kind of where we are headed. Sleep, dreams. Ooh, we will do a dream assignment too. I forgot all about that. So today we are here at the waking consciousness, okay? These are what we will take a look at today. Copy these down if you feel like it, okay? So what is waking consciousness? So it's our awareness of ourselves and our environment. So obviously waking means when you are not sleeping, when you are actually awake and listening to the world. It's your thoughts, your feelings, and your perceptions that occur when we are awake and alert. This is a really important part, this part of being alert. Okay, we're going to talk about sometimes you are awake, but you might not be as alert as you are all the time. Allows us to reflect and plan. And then we have the altered states of consciousness. So a mental state that differs noticeably from normal waking consciousness. So a lot of times the altered states of consciousness look at drug interactions and hypnosis and dreaming. Okay? So subconscious processing. So well-learned tasks become automatic to us. So some examples might be driving or typing, right? If you keep typing and typing and typing, you don't have to think about typing, you just do it automatically. Driving is the same way. For instance, last week, I drive the same way to work every single day and had to drop my daughter off at daycare. On my way, for some reason, I got on a task thinking about something else and I drove right past my turn because my consciousness was on something else and I actually did what I used to do, not what I have to do now. Playing basketball or things like that can also be learning a task so well, like shooting a basketball can be part of this as well. When you meet people, you unconsciously react to their gender, their age, and appearance. Some people may react unconsciously, but it may show in more physical ways than others. Subconscious processings are things that you are not necessarily aware of, so the color or the forms or the movements of something. Unconscious processing is parallel, while conscious processing is linear, but good at novel problems. I'm going to keep going, but if you need to stop, you can pause me and take notes as you wish, okay? It's the great thing about doing lectures this way. So, forms of altered consciousness are all of the following. We will talk about daydreaming, sleep, hallucinations, and dreaming in depth. But we have different categories that these fall into. Some occur spontaneously, some are physiological, and some are psychologically induced. Okay? I'm going to keep going. You can stop if you need to again, okay? So, where does the history of consciousness come from? Remember back to our first unit, we talked about Tishner and structuralism, the whole idea of creating psychology as a branch of psychology as a science was to in fact study consciousness. So it's been at the basis of psychology from the very beginning. Behaviorists argue about alienating consciousness from psychology. So it's kind of, is it psychology? However, after 1960, mental concepts started re-entering psychology. So there was a period of time that consciousness was not necessarily really considered part of psychology. Okay, so what is waking consciousness? So if you can sit down, relax, and just think of this for a second, okay? It is a beautiful spring day, and you are walking down a country lane. Absorbed in thought, birds are chirping, roses are in bloom, and the sun feels warm on your face. Suddenly, you hear a dog bark, and you switch your attention to seeing if the animal means to bite. Okay, so you're totally paying attention to something else, but then your attention is turned. Your consciousness, your waking consciousness is now turned to something else. You're no longer conscious of these other stimuli that are present. Okay? So, how do you read? How does the brain bind these fragmented sensory signals and perceptions into a signal coherent image? So these are broken up, but yet our consciousness puts them together and we can figure out what it's supposed to be. Okay, does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. Again, stop if you need to. Evolutionary reasons for consciousness. So why do we have consciousness? We're looking at all the approaches of psychology and using that in terms of consciousness now, right? So consciousness as an adaptation, allowing us to get along with others are in our group, so other humans. Allows us to see ourselves and therefore moderate our own behaviors. Okay? So, one of the major theories in consciousness is Sigmund Freud's tripartite theory. So, we have a big iceberg here, and we'll talk about this a lot more later on when we talk about personality. According to Freud, only a small portion of our consciousness / personality are actually visible. We call this the visible, so this part of the iceberg, I can use this, I guess. This part of the iceberg is visible, while the majority of it is actually underneath the water, and this is the unconscious mind. So according to Freud, only a very small part of the superego and ego are actually visible to others. Okay, so stream of consciousness. So consciousness results from the activity of the thalamus, which analyzes and interprets information in the cerebral cortex. Okay, think back to our study of biology. Okay, sweeping or scanning, so total a rate of about 40 times per second, we have this consciousness, this stream of consciousness that occurs. It's pretty amazing if you think about it. Okay, each sweep results in a single image or moment of consciousness. Just think about that. Think about how that might work. Okay? The intralinear nucleus, a kind of donut of cells within the thalamus, has nerve cells that send out long axons that reach to every part of the cerebral cortex. Significantly, there are also returning axons that come down from all areas of the cortex back to the intralinear nucleus. That is the scientific reasons to why we have this sweeping or scanning of consciousness. Okay, here we go. We're going to keep moving here. Okay, we are almost there. We have 2 slides left. Consciousness as a cord of subconscious brain events. So neuroscientists believe that consciousness emerges from the interactions of individual subconscious brain events, much like a chord that is created from different musical notes. So, for instance, If you move your wrist in 0.2 seconds prior to moving your wrist, you must decide to move the wrist since it takes that long to travel to the wrist. So think of this. You think about it, it's in your consciousness, but then it still takes 0.2 seconds for it actually to happen. Okay? But it isn't until 0.35 seconds after your brain waves jump. If told to hit a button after a tone, you can respond in 1/10 of a second, but won't show the jump in the brainwaves until 0.35 seconds. So you actually can react faster than the brainwaves will show. Kind of cool. Okay? Last slide. All right, you live in the past a little bit, just a tiny bit. Okay, so what is daydreaming and fantasy? Spontaneous shifts of attention away from here and now into a make-believe world, which everyone at times does this, right? Everyone daydreams, everyone has kind of a fantasy world that is not, you're not weird or special if you do this. Some people do it maybe more than others, but everyone does do it at certain times. An urge to daydream peaks about every 90 minutes and is highest between 12 and 2 p.m. So right in the middle of the day, that is when you have the most daydreaming that occurs, okay? Almost half of your waking hours that there is some type of daydreaming that occurs. Daydreams may provide stress relief and encourage creativity. Again, daydreaming and this fantasy world are very difficult things to study for psychologists, just because anything that is in the subconscious, in the very nature of science, makes it difficult to study. Okay, that is all I got in terms of lecture notes for you guys today. So what I want you guys to do now is to put a pause on this, and now you're gonna go and on Moodle, there is a TED Talk I want you guys to watch. It's about 18 minutes long. If you happen to finish that, then you are done and you can start your homework. Okay, I'll see you guys all on Monday. Mrs. Brett is coming on Tuesday. Looking forward to that. See you guys all then. Bye.